Welcome everyone. So now that we're on that same network as our router, we can kick off our Nmap scans. So I'm just going to start with the tried and tested method of Nmap scan that TCM uses. It will work for us as well. So again, that's just T4 for the speed that we want. We're going to go just all ports on this TCP scan, and we'll ask for all the information, and then we're going to target that router, which the default IP address of it is at 192.168.0.1, and I'll just let this run. It's going to take a couple minutes. I'll see you back over when it's done running. Okay, so our first scan results are back for that TCP scan. And if we take a look, we see that we have SSH open, and we've got the version here. So it's running this drop bear, and then we get some versioning as well. So that's great to see. We've already got some banner grabbing and versioning that we can take a look at. We already knew this one was open because we already went to the web server for it, and this is that ADTCP where it's hosting that configuration website. Very common to see in IoT devices and especially routers where it hosts a website that is the UI for changing settings and things like that. And we get some of the information and fingerprinting back about that website. And then if we scroll down here, we see that we also have this 1900 open for UPnP, which is Universal Plug and Play, which makes sense to see on a router to be open. So those other devices on our network, if they are using Universal Plug and Play, they can connect back to the router and ask it to open up the ports that they need in order to function. And nice thing about this is we start to see a little bit of banner grabbing here. So we get this UPnP devices and the SDK versioning number, and then we also see the Linux kernel version that's running here, and it's that 2.6.36 that we saw from the data sheet on the CPU, on the processor. So then we are able to confirm that version of Linux. If we just scroll down here, we'll also see a little bit of that fingerprinting that it was able to detect that Linux kernel of 2.636. So when I'm scanning IoT devices in particular, I also always like to look at the UDP ports as well and not just do the TCP ones. Again, with these IoT devices, sometimes it can just be the wild, wild west of what they're using. And I like to take a look at the UDP ones. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna run a quick Nmap scan to check for the top 100 ports on UDP, because this does take a while. So I'm just gonna quickly run that. If you have never done that before, just keep in mind that you need to do this under sudo. So it is sudo nmap, and then it's -s u like this, lowercase s, capital U, and then we're going to go -top -ports equals 100, and we'll set the IP address here and run that. This will take a little while since we're doing the top 100 through UDP, so I'll just pause it here and come back once it's all done. Okay, so that took a couple minutes, but we're now done, and we can see at those top 100 ports, we've got the DHCP one here, which is open but possibly filtered, and it makes sense that that would be there on a router. And then we also got the UDP port for this UPnP as well. So nothing crazy for this router, but I just want to show this because I think it's really good to always run the UDP scans on the IoT devices just to see what's there and if there's anything out of the ordinary that we can look to attack. So if we were looking at this device purely just from an internal network assessment viewpoint, either we're doing an internal network assessment and then this has come up in our scope and we think that maybe this is a good target for us to get more access. I mean, routers are a great target if we can get on them because there's so much data that comes through them to see. Or if, for example, this was just a hack the box or something like that, and these are all the ports that are open, well, then we're stuck with going through these ports. We would do so, in a methodological format where we check each of them. We'll go through the versioning of them, look for common exploits, and then probably end up at the web server itself. So this port 80 web server, and then we're going to do all of the web app pen testing things that we would do, enumerating the website, directory busting, running Nikto and fuzzing and all of those things. So on an IoT assessment, it's okay to do all of those. And if we're trying to be really thorough, then it's probably good. We've got some versioning here, so we can go look and see if there's any exploits for this, for example, or the UPnP. We've got some versioning as well that we could go and look if there's any exploits for it. However, the focus of this course is we're going to actually, still be looking at possibly targeting some of these services, but we're going to do so, from the inside with the aid of the hardware. So as far as the, network recon and assessment go, I'm actually just going to end it here, and we're not going to go, any further into the web server or running any further scans on that web server until we actually have our hardware shell, and then we can also see what details we can get from that as well. Again, I would suggest take all of this, add it to your notes, take a screenshot, or just copy and paste it into your notes as you would with any other testing or assessment. I'll wrap up this video here, and I'll see you over in the next one.